didn't forget the song. I got something to come back in. Praise the Lord. We through praying. Y'all came in after prayer anyway. Come on. Amen. I don't know why some of you try to act so humble and scared. But we honor the Lord because he is first and foremost. And to the saints of God, those faithful few, we say thank you for always being faithful, whether in my presence or whether in my absence. It's kind of like Paul said when he exhorted the church to keep on, whether in my presence or whether in my absence. So we are grateful to you. We thank God for our founders and co-founders that labored so hard in the vineyard to give us a foundation. And we thank God for them instilling that into us and us being able to take and grasp it, amen, to our own Bishop Banks, amen. We are ever so grateful for his humble spirit, amen, and he's still yet holding on. And to the people of God, we say, we bless you. Our ministers, Gibbons and Evangelist Lee, but we're ever so grateful because God is still sitting on the throne, amen. And to you, we, again, Brother Ernie, we're ever so grateful for you always being in place. We did a random question on last Wednesday. We thank God for Sister Harvey. We ask you to keep her in your prayers as she continues to try to regain some of the things that have been lost. But we did a random question on last week, and so we really didn't dig into anything else. But I want to jump on something that I think is very important since we were talking about our subject on last week. And I'll kind of flip back to it. That's not it. Or was it? That was part of it. We talked about, and the week before that, I know we talked about the priestly blessing, and then we went into the prophetic blessing. Last week, though, it was a random question period, and so we want to jump back onto something else. I look at somebody and let them know that destiny is worth fighting for. Destiny is worth fighting for. Most folk, some things that are worth fighting for. Nobody likes to lose, but that doesn't mean every conflict or struggle you encounter in life is worth it. Not have understood your purpose, but God had purpose planted in you when you were born. The problem being, a lot of times our environment and the people that we're around, sometimes our purpose is not quite understood because all we see are the things that surround us. And I always tell my kids, I did not move you out of the neighborhood that you were in because you're better than anybody else. I moved you out of the neighborhood because I wanted you to see options in life. Options. The reason you send your daughter to college because you want her to have options. And the reason you push your kids because you wanted them to have options. And so every generation pushes their children because they want them to explore their options and to be better, because every generation should do better than the last generation. So we want to be very careful about that. So when we see something slipping away from our grasp, our instinct is to go into fight mode. I don't know about you, but I love the Lord. And sometimes the old body gets tired, the mind gets tired, and sometimes you say, Lord, is this worth fighting for, to always give a word to people who sometimes don't even pay attention? And the answer is yes, because you might not save 100, but if you can save one, that's a challenge. You see, some people look at the great numbers. I look at any number because you're important. You're important. You're important. You're important. And the thing is, as a pastor, I see people as important objectives for the kingdom. And a lot of people that come and sit on the pew, coming from our basic type of religious upbringing, we think having a good time is church. No, that's celebration. And so church is when we learn to love one another and bind together and pray one for another and to build up the body. Because the church is made up of a body of many members, but we're still all one body. We got different gifts and different talents, but we work together. There's no such thing as, oh, you think you something. No. You are someone. You are something. And you know what? I want to come up to where you are. Instead of me getting jealous, I need to hook up with you to learn how you got where you got. I need to learn what you went through. Because every one of you that's going to walk in destiny, you got to first walk in through struggle. And sometimes struggle puts you down to the point where you want to go into a cave and hide. Sometimes struggle puts you in a place where you just want to shut down and don't want to talk to nobody. Sometimes struggle puts you in a place where you don't know what to say and what to pray. Because that struggle is so heavily mounted in your life that it sometimes takes the wind out of your sail, that struggle. Anyone that is called of God, that God is going to use, is going to go through struggle. Why? Because your destiny says so. The reason you struggle is because God got something greater for you, and the enemy knows that in your past struggles you gave up. You made a commitment this time that you ain't letting go and you ain't giving up. And the struggles keep coming. He said, because I'm going to try your breaking point. And you guys, all you got to say, I'm unbreakable. Yeah. Oh, you can scratch me, I believe, but I'm unbreakable. You can't break me because my faith is going to sustain me. My hope is going to encourage me. And my love for God is going to keep me focused. Now about these three, faith, hope, and charity, which is love. You see, there are little things that we take for granted that we don't really understand why they're there. And so we just kind of sometimes you get so beat down that you just want to sit back and hide. That's the wrong time to hide. You need to come on out and do your dance like David did. Now, you might not have the victory yet, but you can praise God in advance. Why? Because he's good for it. His credit is good through every generation.
That just reminded me of what you told us last week, that praise you gave us last week.
Which one I gave you? Because my mind's shot. See, and here's the thing. Last week,
expectations shall always outweigh your outward experience.
That started in Carolina. I was preaching, and the Lord gave it to me right then. I gave it to them, and we shared it with you all.
I quoted it. I wrote it up over my desk.
and think about sometimes our inward expectations and struggles seem to get the best of us because we don't seem to be getting where we thought we'd be by this time. But this is only the beginning. Paul said, I press to the mark of a high calling in Christ. That means I got to press for the prize. Look at the struggle Paul went through. That the average one of us would have said, shoot, man, it ain't worth it. I'd have been stoned. I'd have been shipwrecked. I've been beaten, 3 times? And, I had to go climb down the side of a wall to get away. It ain't worth it. But you got to see he had some expectation way down the road. And our struggles are there to build us or break us. Yeah. So you liked that, huh?
Yeah, I really.
The thing about when the Lord gives me something like that, I don't hold on to it because it's for the church at that point. And most of the church, I won't say most of it. I know North Carolina and Florida are a little bit different. They're a younger church. But when I say something like that, they're jotting it down. They're writing it down because they're going to grab it. Next thing you know, you'll see it on Facebook. I don't see it, but other people call, oh, yeah, I saw it on Facebook. I like that word. But the thing is, they get excited about it. And you should never be so in church so long that you don't get excited about a fresh word, a rhema word that's going to take you through. That's going to cause you to climb higher and get a little closer to God. That's going to cause you to be able to disconnect that trailer that's holding you down, because you're trying to get higher with God. And we get to the point where we say, Lord, whatever it is that's keeping me from getting where I need to be, let me let it go. Either let me let it go or give me the strength to pray it up with me. Simple and plain. Now, you know, we all got that let it go spirit, but sometimes the Lord don't want us to let it go. He wants us to drag it along because change is up the road. You know, somebody's looking for a breakthrough in the miracle, and God does it through you and convinces them. The same thing you've been telling them all the while is what God's been trying to say. But they finally see it. The lights finally come. The light bulb finally come on. After 11 times of flipping the switch, it finally come on. That's why. You got it. A threat to our home means a fight. That's why people get jealous and stupid. They feel like it's a threat to their home, so they want to fight for that home. And a lot of times it's not really a threat. A threat to our marriage or our health means it's time to fight. We talk about health issues. That's one of the things I try to tell our men and our women as well. Don't sit back and talk about, well, I'm going to pray about it. See about it. Early detection. You know, and I know God is able to do a lot of things, but it's kind of like the drowning man. He was hollering for help, asking the Lord to help him. Boat came along. He said, well, the Lord going to save me. You know, helicopter came along. Lord going to save me. In the end, making a long story short, he drowned. Got to heaven. Lord, I was waiting on you. I sent you help. You just didn't pay it no mind. Help is all around us, but we look for the supernatural intervention so we can say, God did it. Well, God did it with what? He sent the boat captain by that way. Because the ocean's a big place. He could have went another direction. You know, God sends a word. And because we're looking for something specific from someplace else, or looking for something very defined, call me out, we miss it. The Lord ain't going to call you out by name all the time. Somebody's just going to put it out there. You got to grab it because it's meant for you. If something works for you, grab it. And so when we talk about the willingness and the readiness to fight off a threat is what we call a healthy trait. That's what we call a healthy trait. That means that you are always willing to do whatever it takes to stay where you need to be, to get where you need to be. Sometimes a pink slip on the job is the best thing that ever could happen. You know why? Because it'll force you to get out of your comfort zone. Sometimes we get so comfortable, we're just doing the mundane, and God has something better for us, but we won't step out, and we'll just get satisfied. And sometimes that pink slip has to come in order to push us out there where we really start to, I had a business in mind. Let me do this. When I finished my AA degree and they sent that my kids asked me, was I going to walk? I said, no, I might walk when I get the BA degree, but just send me. I told them, just send me the plaque. I put it in my study. But I looked at it, I'm saying, there's always possibilities. Are we willing to work through it, to it? That's all that's saying. I was willing to work through it, to it, because all things are possible if we only believe. Who says that we're too old to the showers? Nobody can write the end of our story except us. If there's something you dream about doing, who says you can't do it? We have to write the end of our story. The closing chapter of our book has not been written yet because we're still here, you know. And so the thing is, and you all are younger than us. Who writes the end of your book? You do. Who writes the next chapter to your life? You do. God signs off on it, but you write it. So what's your dream? Kind of like Pretty Woman. What's your dream? Everybody got a dream. If you don't dream, I mean, you just settle. I'm always dreaming. My problem is I have too many. So I got to pick out which ones to go to. And so one of the things, let me say, you find out that things aren't working out for you the way you want to. What do? What's the first thing you do? I can't hear you. Sometimes when things aren't working out, what do?
When things aren't,
Work out the
when
way
things
you want to.
don't
What do
work
you do?
out.
What's the first thing you do?
Guess I figure out where I went wrong.
Where did I go wrong? Suppose you didn't go wrong, and it still ain't working out.
I'll try it again.
But that's what you just tried, and it didn't work out.
Yeah, but there's no limit on how many times you can try.
Okay, so you mean you're trying to tell me that I don't care how many times you fall, you can get back up and try it again. Okay. You think that way. Do you think that way? Because some people, they get knocked down one time, they go to get back up, they just lay back down there because they're scared to get knocked down again. A lot of people are afraid to get hurt. But you know what? If you're going to follow destiny, you got to be able to take some throws at yourself. You got to be able to take what the devil throws at you and still believe God has a place for me. That's where the struggle comes in, because it's not always going to be so apparent. It's going to be an obstacle that you got to work through in order to get there. You got to pray through. And the whole purpose is God is trying to get you closer to him so that he can direct your steps. He'll give you that idea. He'll give you that dream to walk in. Not only naturally, talking about natural responses in our life, but also spiritually. And so you got all those things working together. And sometimes we get beat down or get hit hard enough. It's kind of like when we were in school. If somebody hit you hard enough and they're bigger than you, you don't want to get hit again, so what you do? You stay down until they leave. Now, some of us play dumb, and we stayed down until they turn their back. And when they turn their back, oops, there go another one. And so here's the other thing you got to realize. Time is a precious commodity. Precious. Precious. Sir? My spell checker ain't here. I looked around and said, speak of the devil, but that wasn't my spell checker. That was Sister Brown. Time is a precious commodity. Why is time a precious commodity, Sister Sylvia? Ma'am? That was a cheap shot to explain. You know I ain't gonna take that, don't you? that was too textbook simple. All right. Why is time so precious commodity? Just give me one reason. One word. Brother Andre, you don't have one? One word.
The answer is only one word?
No, that's only one word I use for each one of you. It's more than one word. I just want one from you. I'm trying to help you out rather than boggle your mind with a lengthy statement.
But can I ask you a question?
You can. That don't mean I'll answer it, but you can ask it.
But it has to be more than one.
Well, it is more
It
than
is.
one word.
It's more than one.
I'm just asking you for one. And then I'm going to ask Sister Brown for one. And then I'm going to ask your mom for one. And then by the time you get through, you're going to have a lot of them.
Okay, so it's the only thing you can't get back.
So what now?
You can't get back time.
So what is that? What is the word I'm looking for then? If you can't get it back,
Well, I mean, that's what you said. The time is a precious commodity. That's very valuable.
Make
Why?
it useful.
why?
Make useful.
Okay, you can't get it back, then it's
Lost.
It's limited.
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 You would use limited?
Yes, because you ain't gonna live 1,000 years, are you?
Okay, it is limited.
Okay, now you say it's
not
limited.
the first thing that would come to my mind.
But then if it's a precious commodity, why is it so precious? Because it is limited. I don't have a time to waste. You see what I'm saying? Now I'm expanding on the limited because I don't need to waste time, because if I waste it, I can't get it back.
Yeah, you can't get time back.
That's right.
But does it also overlay into the thinking of as far as time? Oh, okay, so maybe you're not taking it over into that thing. Okay, I'm good.
So is it fair to say that you can't keep wasting your time on the same thing as over?
Again, that's limited. I can't keep wasting my time on something over and over again that's really not a good investment. Because why? It's limited. When the sun goes down, that's time you will never recoup again.
That's what your answering machine said.
Sorry?
That's something like what your answering machine said.
Yeah. And so we're talking about something that is so precious, I don't need to waste it, squander it. I don't need to play with it, because my time is valuable. If you go to an attorney's office, they charge you by the hour. Why? Because their time is valuable. Is getting wiser and wickeder, but also is also limiting the time that we have to spend on this earth. Think about what we're putting into our bodies. All the foods that we eat. I did a microwave dinner last night, and I looked at the calories, then I looked at the sodium content, but they put preservatives in it. When people kill something back then, they might have smoked it to save it, but they didn't try to put preservative. They did salt to preserve it, but that was it. Look at what they inject the animals with now. Look at what they put into your food so it stays fresher longer. And we put it in our bodies, but we don't stay fresher longer. So limited commodity. How you doing, Evangelist? You and Dr. Dr. Rick. So when we talk about time, it's a precious commodity. It's limited. Now you get what I'm talking about, limited? Beg pardon? Because you can't get anything back that's already gone, can you?
But do you also associate it with windows? Do you associate it with seasons? Like,
So what now?
do you associate it, like, you know how people have the saying when it says it's a certain window for things?
Okay.
So will you associate time also with windows, with seasons? Will that all go with time? Because there's certain things that are not going to happen at a certain period of time. You have a window.
Right. Okay, suppose you missed that window. How many windows have you missed?
We can't talk about that.
But do y'all see what I'm talking about? Okay, that window came. You missed that opportunity. That window closed. And so that time was lost. Now, that might have been, and sometimes it takes us growth and perseverance. Remember going through the struggle to realize what God is trying to do for us or through us. And sometimes it's that struggle that puts us in a framework where now I see God clearer than I did 4 seasons ago. This is what God was trying to get over to me, and I was still into me, so I didn't see him. And think about, a lot of times we go through things in life, and it's all because the way we see at that point. We're not seeing God. We're seeing ourselves. We're seeing what we want, what we think, how we feel, and we miss what he says. And then we've lost that space of time. Now, you may grab it 10 years later, but look at what you missed the opportunity to do all those things for God, that 10-year span that you missed. And now you're saying, God, I wish I saw when I was younger. How many times you done heard that? I did that when I was younger.
So would that be like, for me, back in the days, you comfortable where you are. You figure that you don't want to go through the struggles. You don't want to fight. You just want to, otherwise, just be lazy.
Well, a lot of people, all they want is comfortable. See, when people get comfortable, they lose the desire to see or to do or to become. They get satisfied with comfortable. You get lazy and complacent with comfortable. You settle when you're comfortable. That's the reason I've never been comfortable. Sir?
So when you're the opposite of that, when you feel yourself getting comfortable and you start getting irritated and agitated.
Yep.
Because you don't want to be in that comfortable state.
Right.
That's when you know that you're more.
Think about it. At 30, you start being concerned about where you are. Because that's an age of retrospect. Oh my God, I'm 30. I haven't done this. I didn't do that. And then you say, I got to get it. But now, all of a sudden, when you get 40, it happens again. Then when you get 50, it happens again, but you don't have that same kind of mentality that you did with 30 and 40. You don't have that I need to get in a hurry. Now you're saying, oh, man, I missed that window. Look how many times people look back and say, man, I need to do something. I had this idea, I had this vision, I had this dream, and I need to get in a hurry. 30 is an age of retrospect. We start looking at careers, we start looking at finance, we start looking at where we are, where we dreamed about being at this time. And so then it happens again at 40, and then it happens again at 50. Yes, ma'am.
Like you said, limits. That's what happened about 10 or 15 years ago. I wanted to go to be a pharmacy tech, like when you in there doing the drugs and everything. At that time, you didn't have to go to school.
That's right.
They was training you.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I did decide to make my mind up, you have to go to college now.
Yeah.
So there, I missed the window.
Missed the window. Now, you can still do it, but now it's going to cost you more in time, effort, and money.
Yes.
See what I'm saying? So let me use that. Every lost time to try to regain it is going to cost you in the long run.
Yes.
In other words, time is everything.
Yeah.
It's everything. Question, statement. Y'all see what I'm getting there? Because we talk about destiny. You're not 25 anymore. And you probably could hang with a lot of folk, but how long can you hang? You hang a little while. But think about when you were younger, how long you could hang. Think about on that farm and stuff, we worked. There was no such thing as we done cut off. No, you kept going until it was done. Am I right, Sister Shara? There was no such thing. I'm finna go home and go to sleep. Oh, I wish you would. You mess around, be sleeping up on the tractor, sleeping up by that bend. That's what you be sleeping, standing up sleeping. But the thing is, it also taught me resilience. It taught me to discipline my body and put it under subjection to do whatever I need to do. Now, there will be a time. Now, my big problem is I don't have balance. I just keep going and going. Then all of a sudden, God puts something there for crazy people. My body shuts down. He said, my body will shut down, and I won't wake up for 8 hours. It'll just shut down. I will go to sleep, and I cannot wake up for about 8 hours. And when I wake up, I'm good to go again. But again, that has been my big struggle, balance. You got to have some balance. And sometimes we're go, and we don't know how to go and then let the body kind of rest and balance it out. There has to be some rest with the driving force. And because I'm always seeing things that can be done and doing, I'm always going and doing. So that's a problem. But time is your greatest weapon. Not only is time limited, why did I say that? You need to choose the situations and circumstances that are worth fighting for. Everything ain't worth fighting for or fighting with. There's some things I walk away from because it's not worth the fight. I don't even need to get involved in it. It's stupid. It's crazy. You see, how many of you have seen people fight over something silly? And you just look at them and say, that's so crazy. It ain't even worth fighting for. Somebody talk about you. You saved. Is that worth fighting for? No. Or should you just say, Lord, I forgive them, love them, and keep on? Because you know what? It's not even worth me even changing my metabolism, letting myself get upset. They talk about everybody anyway. Let me go about my business. Lord, let me help me to love them anymore. Help me to forgive them, God, because they know not what they do. So not only is time, I'm going to go back. Time is a precious commodity. Why? Because it's limited, but time is your greatest weapon. Choose which fights are worth fighting for. Every situation you don't need to get involved in. It's a waste of what? Your time. And don't waste your time fighting meaningless battles, because they don't mean anything. There are people that battle with each other, and in the end, they even lose track of what they're fighting about. Show you how stupid it was. Well, you said something. What did I say? Wait, let me think. Really? That's why we used to use the old cliche when we were kids, sticks and stones may break my bone, but words will never hurt me. Words do hurt. That's a lie. Words do hurt. But it all depends on how you let them hurt you. So, time is your greatest weapon. What are some of the things that are not worth fighting for, Sister Angie?
Things that are not worth fighting for? Gossip. Gossip.
Gossip.
Yeah, trying to disprove it.
Okay.
If you know it's
Oh,
not
you know
right.
what they used to call it in the old church of shower? Fending and proving.
Oh, been an improvement.
Yeah. They hit me. I thought that's the old church way. Fending and proving. Trying to defend and disprove something. They call it fending and proving. Short version. All right. And you know what? Bishop King said this, and I will remind you. Bishop King was what we call the wisdom of the church. He said, number one, a lie don't only hurt the person that they tell it on, it hurts everyone that believes it. Number two, you can outlive a lie. Is it worth me fighting about that lie? I'll just tell them, I don't know where you got that from, but you know, that's not true. I walk on about my business because I can outlive that lie. And then people will know by that person's action, if they lied on you, don't you know they're going to lie on somebody else? And then they're going to have a reputation as a what? Liar. All right. And so time is your greatest weapon, even on the job. Don't try to do everything, because if you try to do everything, you end up not doing your job. I've seen people do that. People put more pressure on because they do this good. They end up trying to do a little bit of everything, and then they go lacking, and none of that gets complete. Don't waste your time. Right, Brother Rick?
That's right.
Don't waste your time. All right. It takes one thing to keep operating day to day because of and in spite of. I know that's leaving a big void for you to put that in. It starts with a D.
Determination.
Yes. See, you should have been quiet. You always coming up with stuff. That should be an R in there. I don't know if I spelled that right, spell checker. That's an R.
No.
Now, I know nations on there, all right. You got something to say, Evangelist Lee? You made one face, am I right? All right. That's a fat eye. How is that? All right. It takes determination to keep operating from day to day. It takes determination to work on you. How many in here said, I'm going to join a gym at some time? Come on, let me see your hand. How many of you? What's that? How many of you joined the gym? How long did you go?
They told the city hall down, so.
They told City Hall down?
I've asked them. They did tell the city hall down.
That's why you didn't go no more?
Well, because I only joined that one. So.
That's a good excuse there. I like that. That's,
They tore the city hall down.
they got some more gyms though.
I didn't intend on joining nobody else's gym. I joined that one because it was only $1.50 a pay.
Oh man. Oh wow. Oh wow.
I don't know because they don't even clean those equipment and then they charge you extra so they can clean the building.
Well, at Planet Fitness, they have the things there. You wipe them down when you finish, or you can wipe them down yourself.
Carry on stuff and walk down.
That's right. You ever seen some of these people with their bags? They come out with their bag, they wiping stuff. They get on a bus and they start wiping their handles and everything. What's that?
I sat there and laughed. I watched this lady on a plane. I'm like, ma'am, you can't wipe all those germs away. They're everywhere. Like, you know how many people been on and off this plane? She was literally wiping down the back, wiping down the seat. I'm like, you forgot to.
There are some people that got OCD. No, they got OCD, and they're clean freaks. They wipe down everything. They do.
Lord protect me. That's all you do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, some people go to the hotel and clean the room before they put their luggage in there. What can you say? We used to say something when we were little, say, God killed the germs. All right? That's about it. That's when you drop some on the floor and then pick it back up. What's that, the 3-second rule? That really don't work. Yeah, some things you...
Y'all never used it. God made dirt don't hurt.
What's that now?
God made dirt don't hurt.
I ain't heard that one. that must have been a northern thing. Yes, ma'am.
That was a Michigan thing, right?
That was Michigan. Yes, ma'am.
He said, I need to marry one of those.
Need to marry what?
You heard him, right?
I heard it, but I didn't.
Need to marry what?
One of those clean
OCD.
freaks, yeah. But I told him they'll be lacking something.
That's right. There's no perfect people.
That's right. So he might like that, but they might like something else.
I got a friend, his wife is
You're gonna learn when to be quiet.
I got a friend, his wife is like that. He can't even cook in the kitchen.
That's OCD.
That's horrible.
No, that's somebody with OCD. You know, and understand something. That's an illness. OCD is an illness. That's a compulsive behavior, and so they can't help themselves. They do it automatically. You know, some people they won't touch anything without a glove on their hand. You know, and then they take the glove off, they'll put it there, and they got another glove. They put the glove back on. I've seen them do that. You know, they walk on a bus, city bus. Everybody sit on a bus, but before they sit down, they're wiping the whole seat down and everything. And then they get the cleaning on the floor before they sit down because their feet. They put the things on their feet that look like you have at the hospital. There are people that are like that. They put a mask on. They won't shake your hand. They won't let you touch them. I ain't gonna bother with that. I ain't gonna leave y'all alone back there. Here's the thing you have to learn about destiny, because that's what we're talking about. Somebody said destiny is worth fighting for. You'll win if you don't quit. Most people quit right before their breakthrough comes. You'll win if you don't quit. And most people don't understand that you worked through it this long, and you're right at the breaking point, but you're also giving up. My question is why? How many of you heard the phrase, winners don't quit and quitters don't win? And even building a business, you got to be in it for the long haul if you really want to build it. It didn't get built overnight. But if you stay with it long enough, you'll learn as you grow and keep working at it. You can build that. It's simple and plain. But we need to understand when we talk about that you don't need to have a quitting spirit. In the church, same process. If God is going to use me, I need to make myself available to the Lord. I need to get closer to Him. And just because I read my Bible doesn't mean that I'm closer to God. That means that I've read my Bible. It's the application of the Word that gets me closer. It's the application, not just the reading. I can read all I want, but if I don't apply the Word, it doesn't change anything. So there are a lot of people reading vocationally or devotionally. They read their Bibles or the Word, that little thing that comes out. But the thing is, you read it and you say you read it, but how much of it did you apply to you? The change doesn't come just because you read it. It comes because of the application of the Word to me. I have to deal with this. This is something that the Word is saying to me. I got to deal with it. I'm aware that I have a problem. And so I can read it all I want, but until I apply the Word to my life, it's just a read word. Think about how many people in the church read devotionally and never apply instructionally. I read my Bible every day. How much of it did you apply to you? I can quote it. I can point at you with it, but I need to apply it to me. See, when I read the Word, it's personal. It's not for you. It's for me. And so that's where that Word becomes important. That Word has to be so important that it touches a part of me to the point where I start saying, God, change me. It's kind of like the song, change me, oh God. Make me more like you. I love that song. Whenever I hear it, I love that song. That's what our cry should be. Change me, oh God. Make me more like you. Then, that leads me to another quest. What was Jesus like? Wow. That's where the big challenge comes in. Because He loved you regardless. He didn't try to get back at people. He had a destiny. He was sent here for purpose, and that's where He stayed focused. Do you know how many things can distract you from your purpose? And when you get distracted from your purpose, it also pushes your destiny in another direction too. Because destiny was that way. All of a sudden you get distracted and you go this way, so where's destiny? It's still that way. Where are you at? You're that way. What's going to happen? I'm going to curtail destiny. It's going to wait until I get back, because I'm going to have to fight to get back to where I was. I got to fight to get back where I am. You got to get to that point where you realize how important your destiny is. Every one of us were born with purpose in mind. But purpose also leads to destiny. We don't know where we're supposed to end up, because it's a learn as you go. God qualifies you as you start to move closer to Him. But the thing is, when we get ready to leave here, we should have achieved at least most of what God has called us to do, if you understand what God has called you to do. That means surrender. We don't sing that song in church anymore, because really, if we sing it, we're mostly lying. I surrender all. That's a heavy thing when you say, I surrender all. We should sing it to bring us back to the point where we think about what I need to let go of for God. But the thing is, church has come to be, to a lot of people, it's a formality. It's a religious formality. And so the church should be a place where we come to celebrate together. We'll come to hear a word from God or hear a word, or a lot of times the things you've been praying for, you'll hear it when the preacher's preaching. You've been asking, all of a sudden the preacher's preaching. That was what I was waiting for, Lord. You're in place at the right time. But it also, a word strikes you, and it makes you think about where you are. Or a song touches you. And I don't know how many of you, but I hear some songs, and I just like to hear them over and over again because they minister to me. They minister to me, and it's really a blessing. But you got to find something that soothes your spirit, man, as well as excites you as an individual. There was something that I wrote down, and I see where I put it. When I was talking about destiny, Tyler Perry, you know him. He's a playwright, a director, actor, producer. He made his own way to Hollywood filmmaking, a route that caused many to give up. And he didn't. He talks about how he slept in his car before he made it to where he is. I was watching T.D. Jakes. I happened to be watching T.D. Jakes at one service he had when Tyler Perry came up and wrote a check for $1 million and gave to the church. Now, he's a giver. You'll find him giving for a lot of different causes. He said God blessed him, so he always wants to be a blessing to someone else, whether it's charity or something else. There's this woman that I think that, if I remember the story correctly, they lost their home. They were homeless. He bought them a whole new house, paid for it cash, gave it to him. The man. I mean, Medea. I don't see how you do that one, but he do it good. She's something else. But during his early years of positioning himself towards destiny, however, the road was neither smooth nor accommodating to this young black man from New Orleans. And he was from the New Orleans 7th Ward. If you know the 7th Ward, that's more on the poor side. It's not on the rich side. And he came through that in tough times. He fought the fights that were worth pursuing, and he let go of the fights that were counterproductive to his destiny. Again, pick your fights. Every fight is not worth fighting. It's a waste of time. Some fights, you just let it go and pray for them and go on about your business. It's a distraction. It's trying to take you from where you're trying to go, get you caught up in mess that you don't even want to be bothered with. It's an aggravation to your spirit, man, and to your mind. So we have to be really careful with some fights. Paul says you got to fight the good fight of faith. And so at the age of 22, Tyler Perry wrote, directed, and produced stage plays that were financed with his own personal savings. And for more performances than he could count, only a handful of people showed up. Not a lot of people showed up when he first started. This went on for years. He continued to save and invest his own money to produce the plays, but nothing seemed to take off. Even when the cast performed to a nearly empty house, Tyler never let go of his dream. We talk about destiny. He battled all obstacles to produce another play, even when no one had come to the previous one. Later, after some success with his plays, he stayed in the fight when Hollywood executives told him ridiculously they couldn't back his movie because black people don't go to the movies. You got to check up and read some of this stuff. It's fantastic. He held on and refused to let go of his dream to write, direct, and produce plays and movies. As Tyler fought for his place among filmmakers, he chose to let go of the fights that were counterproductive to his destiny. He could have spent his life fighting a father who ridiculed him. He could have engaged in a lifelong emotional battle against the people who sexually abused him. Instead, he invested his warrior spirit in fights that were worth the effort to get his plays and films to audiences. Tyler kept on fighting to live his dream even when he was homeless and sleeping in his automobile because he never gave up. The winds of fate changed in his favor, and he has since sold millions of theater and movie tickets to fans of beloved Medea persona and the characters in his many other films and theatrical productions. That's the kind of fight that's worth your energy. People tell you you can't make it. That shouldn't stop you. I don't care how many times you fail, you don't really fail until you stop trying. That's when you really fail. You can't let people discourage you from walking in your destiny. Because people, even though they mean well, and sometimes they really believe their own advice, they don't see what you see. They don't hear what you hear. Because God has given you something in your spirit, man, that they can't see or hear, and only you can hear. You don't know why you're touched the way you're touched when you worship, or when you're reaching out for others, or when you're praying. You don't know why you're touched, but that's because God is using you in that realm. And some folk will try to cause confusion so that interferes with you and God. Don't let that's not. Let me go back over here. No, wrong page. Go back over here. Time is your greatest weapon. Pick your fights. Everything you don't want to get involved in, love them and leave them. They both start with L's. Love them and leave them. Leave them right where they're at with their mess. You have to grow up to the point where you let God use you, and you can, and I'll tell you this, you may have some of what somebody else has, but God uses you in a particular way. Evangeline knows her gift. God uses her in a particular way. She's here for purpose. She's here by divine destiny. She's here to hook up with young women and share with them a word. And guess what? And she's been a friend to a lot of you, and she still is and will be. You got to get that point where you learn who to hang with and who just to love sometime from a distance. Some people, you hug them and love them and leave them. Hey, oh, God bless you. Oh, God bless you. Yes, I'm praying for you, and keep going. Because you know if you say that too long, they're going to start talking some mess about somebody. And you don't want to hear it. Again, don't contaminate your spirit. As a gate. Because you might think you hear it and you're going to drop it. It sticks up there, and it'll come right back up when you don't want it to come up. That's how gossip does. Everybody, when they gossip, believes what they're saying is real. And I'm going to leave it at that. Any person who has achieved success, you got to be able to weather struggles and storms. God puts you through that to build you up. Because guess what? God don't need a bunch of cowards on his front line in the army. The ushers, you're not just people standing at the door, you're prayer warriors blocking the enemy's spirit that tries to come in and confound and confuse the service. Always be prayerful at the door. You don't have time to sleep on the bench. Always be prayerful at the doors. Always be vigilant. Always know that you're a guard at the door of the house of the Lord. And what you're doing is not only greeting people when they come in, you're blocking spirits that don't want to confuse and confound the service. Very simple. Very simple. Somebody think I'm just an usher, I'm going to greet people and show them where to sit. You're there blocking spirits. Send them right back out the door. Let them know they're not welcome in the house. Whole different subject. You just thought you were supposed to show somebody where to seat. Question? Your wife looked around. She figured you were going to raise your hand. She just looked over there for a while. Yes, sir. Go ahead, write it.
We're going to write one. We're going to see if we're going to get sent back.
Oh, Lord. listen, the check don't have to be long. It don't be that big. As long as the right numbers on it, it don't matter. You can write a whole lot of zeros on a small check.
Oh, yeah, you can.
Yeah. I have personally haven't written them, but you can write a lot of zeros on.
I would say check us out on the live stream, New Beginning.
No, there's a lot of things you don't want to broadcast and live stream. You don't want people breaking into the church trying to shoot somebody talking about that they got money. The live stream has benefits, and then it has the areas that are not beneficial because, people can look at live stream and see what time your church takes up offering. They can come in the door right before offering time.
Well, I hope they go to a big congregation.
You don't want to go to no congregation, Brother Rick. With that note,